any kind of divorce or post-divorce litigation, and this is an alternative approach designed to find a win-win solution for both parents and the children as well. And Kim, you've been telling us about some examples of arrangements that have been made through the team, and as the needs of so the idea is to leave both parents, to allow the parties to maintain their role as co-parents, perhaps improve them, and not eliminating one or marginalizing one at the expense of the other.
Yes, that's very, very important. In a litigated custody case, that is exactly what happens. One parent is marginalized, and it's just a byproduct of how the process works. There's nothing in the legal process to engender respect or flexibility. So when you handle this issue collaboratively with a psychologist, the couple, the way the psychologist helps them reframe their roles to one another and their relationship. Unlike in the legal system where it's just shattered and nothing new comes of it.
It's like a boxing match.
Exactly. It's like a boxing match and somebody falls down and it's over. But in this process, because we have spent time helping them define their new roles, their new parental roles to one another, we set the foundation for the establishment of trust. Okay, and as these people go forward in life and they successfully co-parent, that trust factor goes way up.
And this is also trust of the children, too.
Yes. So when life occurs and unfolds and children grow up and their needs change, because that foundation was initially there and has been nurtured and has grown, they're able to discuss, hey, Johnny doesn't want to do this anymore. Let's talk about what we're going to do next. And every little issue doesn't end up in post-judgment litigation. And
depending on the needs and the abilities and interests of the parties, you might carve out some joint areas of responsibility or give one party the primary responsibility for education or something else, or health issues, or whatever works for the situation.
Whatever works for the situation, and every situation is different. Every family is different.
And you mentioned litigated child custody in traditional sense. I mean, as you know, and our listeners may or may not, sometimes lawyers for one side or the other bring in expensive experts to say why one parent is good and one parent is bad, and it's a very expensive process, and at the end the court has to choose between one parent or the other, and no cooperative or sharing arrangement is going to come out of that.
That is absolutely true. What you're referencing is a forensic evaluation. This is a very destructive process. It is intended to find flaws in people and point them out, and someone is always marginalized in the process, and you can't have any trust going forward. You can't cooperate when someone has deemed you unfit.
And it's going to be very hard for both parents and even the children to recover from that, the trauma of that drawn-out, expensive, litigated proceeding. That's going to leave a winner and a loser.
Exactly. I don't think the trauma ever heals. I think that the reason we have such a high cyclical divorce rate, meaning children from divorced families are more likely to grow up and become divorced themselves. I think one of the factors that goes into that reality is the stress.
So this is a way to make the best of a difficult situation.
It is, and to teach new skills and to rebuild trust in the new relationship. It's a very transformative process.
And also I guess another thing that goes on in traditional divorce is the alienation, parental alienation. Mm-hmm. So this is going to work against that and try to prevent it.
Yes, it does. But I will tell you this. The legal system has its place. There are cases that must go through our system. Not every case is suitable for a collaborative process. There are very, very many cases where there's serious neglect or abuse, serious mental health concerns. Those need to be addressed in the court system. But that's a small percentage. The majority of families restructuring really have the capacity, the intelligence, and the emotional maturity and stability to work this out themselves.
With the help of you and your team.
With the help of a team, yes. Specially trained, by the way.
And what suggestions would you have someone who's considering, let's say getting divorced and wants to consider the collaborative process as an alternative to litigated divorce, or doesn't even know where they are or where they're going?
Education. Start reading. Read everything you can get your hands on the subject. And then go and consult with someone who is doing this. You want to make sure that the attorney you consult is someone who's actually practicing collaborative, has been properly trained, and is an active participant in the process. There is a team of us on Long Island of professionals who have decided that this is a very important endeavor, and we are very, very dedicated to this process.
And those attorneys are each party is going to have their own attorney, but those attorneys are agreeing to use the collaborative process as a tool to resolve these issues.
Absolutely. Yeah, the team is all seasoned matrimonial attorneys who have agreed to use this process and have been trained. The name of the group is Collaborative Divorce Resolutions Long Island, CDRLI.com. And the way you would start would be to contact one of these professionals on this team, go in, have a consultation, become educated, and then introduce the concept to your spouse.
And there's no obligation. If a person finds it doesn't work for them or they don't like what they're hearing about the process, they can go through a traditional divorce.
Absolutely. You're committed to nothing when you go for a consultation. And the process itself, once it has begun, should it not prove successful for whatever reason, the collaborative attorneys are automatically discharged.
And really, whatever collaborative child custody arrangement you had would not be necessarily binding in the future?
I'm not sure I understand.
No, I'm saying if they tried the collaborative approach, let's say with the child custody, and it didn't work out, that won't really be binding on them in a litigated divorce.
Absolutely not.
And just give the website again where someone can get more information about you or the idea of the collaborative divorce.
The team website is cdrli.com, and my website is adrlaw.com.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. adrlawny.com.
Yes, okay. And do you have some thoughts for children who are going through the process, or maybe their parents have gotten divorced?
I assume you're speaking of older children.
Yes. Let's say the teenagers or beyond.
Yeah. It's to maintain an open, loving relationship with each parent. You are in no way betraying the other parent by loving the other.
And that's really true while you're younger, too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's no reason why that should change because the family has restructured. Like, when you're in an intact family, it's perfectly normal to love both parents, have a relationship with both of them, respect them both. Why can't that continue?
You're still going to have two parents. They're just not going to be married to each other.
Exactly. And you still have a family.
And they might be, living some or all the time at a different address.
Right. But you're still a family. You're tied together.
And this also encourages flexibility. So if needs change, availability changes, the parents are encouraged to be flexible and switch days or roles or gears as the need arises.
Absolutely. And as they lead their new lives in their new roles, as I said before, they're building trust. So when the need for flexibility presents itself, they're more likely to be agreeable and to be able to work it out themselves. Whereas if you go through a litigated custody case, somebody wants to change, Christmas vacation, swap it for Thanksgiving, that could lead to post-judgment
Exactly. Right. Very expensive, and no one's going to be a winner.
Yeah.
And also, if there's parent alienation, that can also continue unfortunately, after the divorce.
It certainly
Where
can.
one parent downplaying and disparaging the other.
Yes. I mean, parental alienation is a very complicated topic, and there are a multitude of issues that contribute to that. But at its core, one parent has been completely marginalized and attempts to do the same to the other.
But again, through your process, you're going to try to minimize that during the
absolutely.
process.
There's no need for
and
it.
after the process.
There's no need for it because we're not invalidating either parent's role. So there's no need to be...
And there's nothing to be gained by it.
Oh, there's nothing to be gained by parental alienation.
We have like a moment left in the program. Any other final thoughts you have on again, why collaborative is better and how it's especially effective with child custody?
Collaborative is a very private, very transformative process that truly allows a divorcing couple to go on and have a positive relationship to one another, to share their children's lives events, to be at graduations and weddings together and share grandchildren.
And make them less tense.
Yes.
Because those can be very traumatic for all concerned.
Very, very.
And just give us your website and the website of your group again.
My website is adrlawny.com. And the collaborative group on Long Island is cdrli.com.
Okay, just remind our listeners that you're listening to attorney Kim Ciesinski, who's based in Garden City, and you've heard about the process. And there are similar groups around the state and around the country that also are committed to the collaborative law approach.
Yes, there are.
I just remind everyone that whatever you've heard is not intended to be legal advice, but just information. You should get legal advice from your own professionals. You're listening to Law You Should Know here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Also on the internet at ncc.edu/WHPC, and podcasts for free of this and many other shows of Law You Should Know are available by searching WHPC on iTunes. Please join us next week for another program on Law You Should Know.